In Iran, the top national security official says there will be no negotiations with the United States. Ali Larijani has accused Washington of plunging the region into chaos. He says Iran did not initiate the aggression and is defending itself. Let's go back now to Tohid Asadi, who is in Tehran for us. So, Tohid, the American president told The Atlantic that he is open to talks, says the Iranians asked for talks and he'll go ahead and do them. The Iranians obviously saying something very different. Do you have any sense from Tehran as to what the Iranians may see as the off-ramp for this conflict?
Well, I don't think Iranians at this point may be interested in negotiations, at least based on the latest statements that I have been hearing from my end in Tehran. First of all, it was the Ali Larijani, the Supreme National Security Council Secretary, who is one of the most influential figures in the political establishment of the country and who was engaged in the trajectory of talks with the United States in the past few weeks. He came out very clearly positioning and saying that Iran is not going to negotiate with the United States, and that comes after some reports came out about such a possibility. But prior to that, we've got the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ismail Baghai, telling Al Jazeera, just in an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera, coming out to say that at this point, hopes for diplomacy are not that much colorful. In that interview, he just cited two historical backgrounds in that regard. One, which dates back to June 2025, the country was already engaged in negotiations between Washington and Tehran, while all of a sudden confronted a sort of, I can say, campaign of strikes by the Americans and Israelis while in the very middle of the talks. Also, the same scenario was repeated exactly when the Americans and Israelis started this very recent campaign of strikes, while we were expecting a next round of talks, or I would say two rounds of talks, first between Iran and the UN nuclear watchdog. There was a discussion supposedly or scheduled to be held today, hosted in Vienna by the UN nuclear watchdog IAEA. And then the Abbas Araghchi, Iranian foreign minister, came out to say that progress has been made in the trajectory of diplomatic affairs, and we are expecting a next round of political talks very much soon as next week. This is what we heard from Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in that regard. But right now, the spokesperson and other Iranians are not that much certain about the possibility of diplomatic engagement, seeing the realities on the ground and seeing one other statement, last one if I may, is that they are saying, and they were saying, that we don't negotiate under imposed condition under the shadow of the war. And right now, this shadow of the war has been translated into real act of war.
All right, Tohid, thank you. Let's go to Rosiland now. So, Rosiland, look, we have a situation where there are no talks. There is no obvious end to this war coming anytime soon, at least. We also now have a new front in this war opening up in Lebanon. Do we know what the American viewpoint is on Israeli strikes in Lebanon? Is there any scenario where the U.S. may get involved in actually striking Hezbollah targets, which would obviously undermine the very ceasefire that they helped broker last year?
The Trump administration has not talked about what Israel is doing in Lebanon. There's also been some reporting that the U.S. may not have considered going to war against Iran unless Israel did so first. That has been pushed back and rejected as a reason why the U.S. has started the military action. But it's worth pointing out that since military action started in the overnight hours early on Saturday, except for two pre-recorded statements from U.S. President Donald Trump, there has not been an on-the-record comment from the administration, except the president speaking to a number of hand-picked reporters by phone on Sunday evening. There has not been a public explanation why Iran, why now, what the end game is.